just the level of competition and the clear pathway. The Development Academy has so many mandates and rules that hold players, teams and staff accountable. So if there's a player struggling, she can't come out of the game and we can't fix it immediately, which we'd be able to do anywhere else, and put her back in, whether it's in the same half or the next half. She has to figure it out, she has to get through it, and that's the part of learning that I think is important, that these players are in a situation where they're feeling a little lost, they have a little of adversity, and then they have to overcome it, and that's where the learning takes place, and then the success is felt a little bit greater. I think when you figure it out on your own, or you get help from the sideline, the coaches trying to help you through it. But I think that's great about the Development Academy is the rule of subbing, when we can sub, how many moments, coaches being held accountable for what they're doing in terms of their periodization plan and the sessions they're putting together. I think that's one of the biggest things for the Development Academy. Our conference is incredibly hard. Out of the 3 age groups that could challenge for a national championship, we won the 15s, the 17s from the Frontier Conference. And Solar, who I thought was the better team on the day, unfortunately lost in the final of the other national championship. So out of 3 age groups, you've got 2 winning it and 1 losing in the final from our conference. So clearly, I think that's a measuring stick of how tough it is. Every game is like a national final, because any team can at any given point be challenging for one of those. So I think, when you play FC Dallas and Solar and Texans and Lone Star and Dash, and then obviously our rivalry of Real Colorado, which has always been enjoyable. It just brings an element that can't be provided anywhere else in the country. The best thing the Development Academy did was put 2 girls clubs in Colorado. Everyone around the country thinks that we just have an abundance of female talent, but we really don't. For years it's been 2 clubs really producing national team players, in Ush and Real, when you look at it even in the ECNL. And I think when there was 3 clubs in the ECNL, there was a lot of diluted product. I think we won 1 national championship and maybe Real won another, but over 5-6 years, that's not good enough, from our standards, and I'm sure Real. So now you have the Development Academy putting 2 teams in Colorado, or 2 clubs, and now Real's already won 1, and we're hoping to get 1 in the next year or 2 and continue to win national championships. So I think that's good. 2 clubs that are willing to do what's best for the player and develop them the right way and continue to produce national team players. I think that's exciting too, and we love our derby days against Real. It's always fun. Being named the Girls Academy Director is an opportunity to maybe implement or try and create a culture in the program. Tim's entrusted me to create this culture because it's been done in the Youth Girls Division that I oversaw. So different programs, different events, something where the player walks away going, I was a part of something, and I enjoyed it and I got something out of it. There's been a few changes, there's been a lot added. We've built an athletic development program where they work with our strength trainer, Geoffrey, and they're doing that once a week, and it varies from what they did in our pre-season to what they do before a game, what they do after a game, and it's all a part of our periodization plan. And I think it's really allowing these young players to become stronger, more agile, more flexible, more coordinated at the younger ages, because it's all age specific. We have goal setting, team and individual. We have IDPs, which is really exciting. There are individual development plans. So basically we sit down with every single player and we talk about their strengths, their weaknesses, what's going on at home, how their school life is, everything. It's more of a holistic approach, and we basically design a plan, whether it's extra training, getting with a tutor or whatever. It's all based on the individual, and I think this is good for the player to know that there's a pathway from day one to the last game of the season or throughout the entire Development Academy. We have pasta dinners before every home game. We've had a club photo day. We had a nutritionist that measured their body percentage fat and talked to them about what they should be eating and drinking before a game, after a game, leading up to a game, versus carbs and proteins and stuff like that. So really just educating the players and making sure that they are more aware of what it takes to play at the highest level, and if that's what they want, then we're certainly going to provide that for them. We've always trained 4 days a week or 5 days a week. Before the Development Academy, we had Friday night finishing, we had staff training, we had the center in the morning. So if there's a player that wanted more, they're certainly getting it, but it's always been there. Overall, I think Rush is something that's different from around the country. You know, the demands that we put on our players are extremely hard and taxing. You know, it's not just about technique, it's about intelligence and the thought that goes into decision making. Obviously, then they have to execute it with that technique, which we're big on. But it's tough to be a Rush player. It's not easy. The demands that we put on training, the demands that we put outside of training, to continuously get better and improve themselves. That's what separates us. The style of play that we have, I think you can watch any team in our club and there will be a definite style of play when we don't have the ball, when we do have the ball. All the things that we want to do when we go out on the field, they are clear and concise from the youngest player to the oldest player, and I think that's what's unique about us. You have the freedom to train with other teams, to go out and have extra trainings, to do programs like Friday night finishing and stuff like that. I just think that the holistic approach and what we're trying to do here allows the player to feel good about what they're doing, make them feel good about who they're a part of, the club, their team. Hopefully a national championship. We haven't won one since probably 2012 in the ECNL, so definitely a national championship. I mean, the future is bright. I mean, our 06s, which is the DA pilot program, they've just made their third straight state cup final. That's exciting for those girls. All our younger teams are very good young players that, you know, it's tough to monitor development. Obviously, it's usually only wins and losses, but we try to get them in different environments, playing against boys teams and stuff like that. Our youngest team, our little 09s, they went to Vegas and won Vegas Cup and beat teams like Slammers and Texans, you know, that have big reputations around the country as good soccer clubs developing good players. So I think the future's bright, and I think that if we can get a national championship in 2 years, this is where we want to be. And just this past weekend, we had a huge weekend. You know, the 15s, 17s, 19s, they all got good results. The 15s and 19s went undefeated. 17s got a big win against Houston Dash. So I think there's a lot of good things happening. There's a lot of momentum happening with the program. And I think in 2 to 5 years, you know, we should be, you know, back to where we were years ago as one of the best girls programs in the country. Last showcase in San Diego or Oceanside. The U19s, who have a really cool relationship with all our younger players, they're definitely doing a good job of like being big sisters and role models. They waited for the 03s and the 04s to get back from their games, ambushed them with water guns and water balloons, and like literally opened the van door and the kids couldn't get out and they just got peppered with water. And then prior to that, they went into the bedrooms of the players and took all their luggage out, made their beds, basically made the hotel room look like it hadn't been slept in. So the girls went back into their rooms and had no idea what happened, didn't know if they'd been robbed, didn't know if they had a key to a different room. It was hilarious. So there's always something going on road trips. We're really big on the experience and not necessarily just the game. So we're always doing additional things, whether it's meetings, it's game night where we do dance-offs and stuff like that. There's always something going on in these trips where we bring the group closer together and they really get to know each other and the coaches get to know every player. Again, it just goes back to that holistic approach and making sure that the experience is far greater than maybe what happens on the field, because these are the things that they remember. Things you might not know about our DA program. Well, like some of our staff, John Carroll is having a baby. Well, his wife is, but yeah, Callie's pregnant. So that's exciting for John. Tony Rosales came on board from our rival club. He's been a great addition. Blanco is always stressed. That guy never has an easy day. He's always pacing up and down the sideline. We're at Addenbrooke. I love it. It's part of who we are. I wouldn't want anything else. I love the geese and having to chase them off at the beginning of practice. I love the fields. You know, it just helps us figure out technically how we can be better because we don't have the flattest playing surface, although we think it's great. But also Titan's coming. I know we've been saying that for 10-15 years, but there's a lot of good progression in the Titan project and getting our fields, and I think that you're going to see that in the spring. So a lot of good things happen in the Development Academy.